What's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Niners News here on 49ers Hive. My name is Zach Hernandez, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Matt Llewellyn. And today we're going to be discussing whether or not it should have taken an injury for Trey Lance to replace Jimmy Garoppolo. Matt, a lot of fans were kind of saying, hey, from what we saw from Trey Lance in preseason, perhaps he should have started week one. Obviously, we know that didn't happen. Jimmy Garoppolo started the first four games and left against the Seahawks in week four at halftime with a calf injury. Now Trey Lance is the starter, or at least is set to become the starter due to Jimmy's injury. But do you think it should have happened a lot sooner and before any injury occurred?
It's hard to say. I know that like a lot of us, we're on board with the Trey Lance thing. I'll say yes, just from the perspective of he obviously needs time to develop. As exciting as he was and as many plays as he made in that game, man, he looked a little rattled, a little flustered, a little like he was pressing, trying to get out there and do a little too much, I think. Maybe missing some open things to, try to use his athleticism or just missing things outright. I mean, he's a rookie quarterback. He hasn't played really. This is his first real game action since, week one of the 2020 season at North Dakota State. So you're talking about a guy who's kind of been out of football for a while. And now you're asking him to play catch up on a Jimmy Garoppolo game plan that he doesn't really know what's going on. He might not necessarily know it yet. I know that there are conflicting reports that he looks good in practice or he doesn't look good in practice. Be that as it may, the one thing that you've seen from all of the rookie quarterbacks this year is that it's taking them time to get up to speed. And I don't think that it would help Trey Lance to sit out an entire season. He's not going to learn that way. He's not really getting reps in practice that way. So I think it's just another year wasted if you do that. And it's sad that it took Jimmy Garoppolo's injury to kind of force Kyle's hand. But now that the opportunity is here, it's time to get him up to speed and see what he can do, because Jimmy Garoppolo is not the future of this franchise in 2022 and beyond. It's Trey Lance. And you have, Kyle and John Lynch have hitched their wagon to Trey Lance, and that's what their careers are going to be on the line. If Trey Lance flames out, they're going to be gone. If Trey Lance is a rousing success, they're going to be here for 10 or 15 years. But you need to exercise that kind of development now rather than wait. I know a lot of people are online saying, man, I want him to get the Patrick Mahomes treatment of, not playing right away, sitting behind somebody who can teach him stuff. And that was never going to be in the cards. It's a completely different situation. And the Mahomes situation is an outlier situation in today's NFL. It was pretty predestined that, Trey Lance was going to play. I mean, that stat that went out earlier, how many top three quarterbacks didn't play their rookie year in the last, 10 or 15 years or whatever. And it's like none. So all of them have played. Now Trey Lance is playing, and, that's about where it should be. So I think just from the development of the future, yeah, you might be punting a little bit on this season in terms of he's so raw and looks so just nervous and trying to catch up with the speed of the game that, yeah, it's not ideal, but for the future beyond this year, and I know it's hard for fans to think long-term, I think the right move is to play Trey Lance.
I agree with you. I think that it was only delaying the inevitable starting Jimmy Garoppolo. The writing was on the wall, and I think Jimmy knew it. Everybody knew it going into the season. It's a matter of when. When is this change going to happen? Jimmy went on Damon Amendolara, I always have a hard time saying his show, with his pops, and he said, look, the only reason I'm okay with this is because Kyle and John called me beforehand, and they promised me a shot at starting. That's all they promised him, a shot. And I forget who tweeted this out. I want to say it was Chris Biederman, and he was saying Kyle made the mistake of not treating this like a quarterback competition in the offseason, because now he goes in there, Trey Lance, just like you said, Matt, looked razzled. He looked unprepared. He looked raw. And Kyle has had him since June, May, end of May, when OTA started, around then. He's had him since then. And this is what we get. And we've also seen Kyle say that, the backup quarterback is prepared and ready to do everything that the starter does. And then yesterday, after the 49ers lose, he says, well, the game plan was for Jimmy, not for Trey, which I understand 100%. There are going to be different concepts that you run for each quarterback. However, you just said the backup should be prepared for everything Jimmy's doing. We didn't see that. Trey looked like he was playing backyard football, looked like he was relying 100% on physical instincts and talent rather than running the actual plays as they were dialed up. And even saying that, he still finished the game 9 for 18, 157 yards through the air, and 2 touchdowns with a rating of 117.1. And he added 41 yards on the ground, including a pretty impressive 4th and 10 scramble, if I don't say so myself. The talent is there. We can see it. We always saw it. And kind of I think the one sentence, Matt, that hit this nail on the head in the preseason was, if the floor is the same and Trey Lance's ceiling is way up here, why are we going with Jimmy? Why are we still playing Jimmy? It's a shame that Jimmy got injured. Al Sacco pointed it out. He rarely makes it out of September in his whole career with the 49ers. It's sad, but they should have prepared for this. It's almost like, we get on them for betting on Jason Verrett to stay healthy. Well, you kind of bet on Jimmy to stay healthy, and it's come to bite you in the butt now. And now, we said it yesterday, you're asking for a rookie who's rarely played to come in and save the day. And what a worse game to ask him to come in against the arguably best team in the NFL on the road, divisional rival, and Arizona Cardinals. So it's tough, man. It really is tough. But
yeah, it is really tough. And like you said, he's definitely coming in and showing those glimpses of his athleticism and his ability to be a playmaker. We just have to hope that over the course of the next few weeks, with Kyle actually having to game plan for Trey Lance's skill set, that his ability as a quarterback start to catch up to his ability as a playmaker. And we've seen this with the Lamar Jacksons. We've seen this with the Josh Allens. We've seen these young athletic quarterbacks make plays, not necessarily, winning plays, but enough good plays. And then their skills start to catch up to their athleticism. Their ability to be a quarterback start to catch up. And, for the people who say that, Lance should sit this entire year, all that does is that kicks the can down the road to next year, where all of these issues are going to have to be dealt with again. I think that this is kind of a blessing in disguise. I know that Kyle didn't necessarily want to play Trey Lance, whether that be because he genuinely didn't think that he was ready, or because he felt like he would lose the locker room if he played a rookie over popular Jimmy Garoppolo. At this point, it's kind of like he can dust his hands off and be like, God took it out of my hands. This is what it is. And, obviously we don't want to speculate that anything's like fake or whatever, but even we were like, man, if this was something that Kyle did just to kind of wink, wink, nod, nod, save face for Jimmy, it works out perfectly, because if Trey comes out and looks terrible, right, then Jimmy can come back and he's the conquering hero. If Trey does well, like he did pretty well in his half, he scored 2 touchdown drives, albeit one on a completely busted coverage. But, Trey did enough to kind of say, okay, let's see what we have with Arizona. Let's see what we have coming out of a bye week against a good but vulnerable Colts team. And, if he gets it done and it looks good, then it's like, well, you save face for Jimmy, because it was like, well, he only lost his job because of the calf injury and because Trey played so well. So it's kind of like that double-edged thing. I do happen to think that Jimmy could actually be injured, especially if it's like not a super serious injury in terms of one that's painful right away, but one that as you start to go along gets more and more sore and you start to notice. Then, of course, it's just like, okay, well, now you understand, right? I think somebody, I can't remember who the reporter was talking about, Jimmy said that it felt like somebody had stepped on him, but that he didn't think anybody actually did. And that's when people started really speculating about an Achilles, because that's one of the things they say with an Achilles injury is that you feel like somebody like kicked you in the back of the leg. And so it's a similar mechanism. I don't know that it's like anything serious beyond just a strain. The MRI results haven't come out yet. I'm sure they'll talk about that. But even if it's a partial tear of that Achilles, that's a serious injury that's going to keep him out for a while. That wouldn't necessarily manifest itself right away. Just because you have a partial tear or you have a strain or whatever doesn't mean that he couldn't have played those 2 quarters. Because I think a lot of people were speculating, he got injured on the first drive, and then all of a sudden, like, he was out there for 2 quarters before he noticed the injury and happened to come out at halftime when the offense was struggling. People have their skeptical hats on. I think it's a real injury. It's just unfortunate that the circumstances are what they are because everybody's going to have the conspiracy hat on.
Most definitely. And we talked about it ourselves. I'm just going to wrap up with one quick thought. I've seen a lot of fans say, if Jimmy did this, he'd get torn apart. If Jimmy did this, y'all would be tweeting, do not hold a rookie in his first ever start to the same standard that you were holding a 8-year NFL vet on his third, fourth year starting with the team. These are two completely different situations, and there's a lot of nuance and context needs to be added because Trey Lance is different. He's a rookie. He's way more physically gifted, and we've seen him do things that Jimmy Garoppolo simply cannot. So I would just ask fans to be patient. Give the same patience that you're asking for with Jimmy Garoppolo to an actual rookie who didn't play football last year coming out of a small school, because it will take some time for him to develop. But I think we both agree once he does develop, if everything goes as planned, he's going to be special. So I just want to end with that.
Absolutely.
But thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Niners News here on 49ers Hive. I'm Zach Hernandez. That's Matt Llewellyn. Follow us. Our socials are below on the screen. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
Yeah, go follow us everywhere you can. We love having you here. And until next time, go Niners.